I wanted to run out of that tunnel for my dad. To prove to everyone that I worked...
what?
That I was somebody.
Oh, you are so full of crap. You're 5 feet nothing, 100 and nothing, and you got hardly a speck of athletic ability.
You're f***ing useless. The lot of you. Working with you has been the lowest point in a disappointing career.
Do you believe I'm not good enough for you?
I'm upset! You are a worthless, friendless, fat-lipped little piece of shit whose mommy left daddy.
I can't do it! Why do you even want me? Why? I'm such a fuck up!
Sometimes we base our value on the perception of others, whether or not our partner appreciates us, or our friends enjoy us, or our crush even sees us, or how much our kids love us, if our workplace even acknowledges us. Our value is not determined by the level of perceived success imposed by others, but by the unseen intrinsic worth given purpose by who we choose to be. I'm sure we've all struggled with this, and coming from someone who's dealt with depression far more than I'd like to admit, there's always a way out. It's time for me to start practicing what I've been preaching to both my friends and family. So today we're going to work through how to deal with self-doubt. So buckle up. I remember being in middle school and having some of the most difficult times of my life. At least that's what it felt like at the time. If I'm being real, middle school is pretty rough on adolescents. Every girl I had a crush on saw me as the weirdo. I had changed up my skincare routine, so I began developing acne. I was obsessed with anime at a time when it wasn't cool. My friends played ping pong and Foursquare, and of course, those at the time were not the popular sports. I'm not even sure if they ever were, but in my school, it was football and track. I also threw up all over myself in social studies, but that's a discussion for another time. I felt ostracized, an outcast amongst my own peers. My self-worth was affixed to judgment, and my own internal value met that judgment at a crossroads of sorts. The more extrinsic input, the more my intrinsic value decreased. As I grew older, that intrinsic value became tied to high school grades, my physique, and whether or not I was a smooth-talking light skin. As I continued to grow, that value became tied to job efficiency and work ethic, military rank, and how many of what type of patches I had, whether or not I was a fulfilling fiance, eventual husband, and a good enough father. Really, was I ever going to be enough in general? You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. At some point in the last few years, I realized that I cannot control what happens around me. Through the study of Stoicism, I understood that I shouldn't worry about what I cannot control, things that should not dictate my choices and therefore my emotions with respect. I mentioned in my last video that you cannot control the rain and therefore your emotions should never be dictated by it. I use this example because this exact thing happened to my daughter. She once cried over the rain because she couldn't play outside, not understanding that the rain isn't a deterrent, but an alternative. And I see now that I should have just encouraged her to enjoy the rain, to enjoy it for its cold touch on a relatively warm day, to enjoy it as the soothing sound of nature, to enjoy it as a cleanse, washing away what may have brought about that rainy day in the first place. See, our doubt is like the smoldering heat, exhausting, heavy, seemingly unavoidable, especially in new or stressful situations, but what brings the heat can be washed away by the rain, cleansed and cooled by embracing what is while accepting the change that is yet to come. These are ideals of a Stoic, ideals that we ourselves can practice on a daily basis. I will say that it's pretty tough though, because personally, I don't really see much in myself. My intrinsic value is still tied to extrinsic worth, so how others perceive me still weighs heavily on my conscience. It's tough to break this perception, but I will say that there is a book that I've been trying to find for years but only recently was able to read, but it's titled One Nun and 100,000. It's by Luigi Pirandello, and I believe that's how you say his name. This book describes a man who has been enlightened by his wife's perception of who he is, that who you believe yourself to be opposes how others view and see you. The first point of contention for Vitangelo, the main character, arises while he's examining his nose in the mirror. Something I believe he's doing is probably looking for a pimple or trying to figure out how he got a cut on the inside of his nose. Nonetheless, he's examining his nose in the mirror, and his wife asks what he's doing. She then imparts the most wholesome phrase I've ever heard. I thought, she said, that you were looking to see which side it is hangs down the lower. Brutal. This absolutely devastates Vitangelo as he slowly begins to realize that he is someone different to his wife and subsequently different to everyone he's ever met. I merely have a question to put to you. Good Lord, why is it then that you act as if you did not know it? Why is it that you insist upon believing that the only reality is your own, the reality of today, and why do you cry out in angry astonishment that your friend is wrong? Although he, poor chap, whatever he might do, could never have within himself the mind that is your own. Let me say one thing more and have done with it. I do not wish to offend you. You speak of your conscience. You do not care to have any doubt cast upon it. Excuse me, I had forgotten. Yet I recognize the fact, I must recognize it, that to yourself, within yourself, you are not as I, from without, see you. There is no ill will in that matter. I would have you be persuaded at least of this. You know yourself, feel yourself, will yourself in a fashion that is not mine but yours. And once again you believe that yours is right and mine is wrong. It may be so. I am not saying it isn't, but can your fashion be mine, and vice versa? There are 100,000 different me's out there because everybody sees me differently. And because of who I personally am, I want to appease everybody, but in doing so, I only end up hurting myself. I'm not allowing myself to see my self-worth, or the worth that I have, the value that I've provided. I need to remove my blinkers, my blinders, in order to truly see what's right in front of me, because who you are should only be dictated by who you want to be, and you should only ever want to be the best version of yourself. We cannot control how others view us or how many of us that exist, nor will we ever fully understand the us that have been conjured. You can only control yourself.
We're not comfortable with ourselves as a companion. We don't want to be left alone by ourselves with ourselves. So we come in and we sit down and we get on our phone, or we turn on the TV, or we go wherever, we do whatever, because we don't want to face the reality of being by ourselves with ourselves. And so, fellas, I would say one of the things I would recommend that you think about, chew on, look into, is start making yourself a companion that you're comfortable with.
This is an excellent statement, because after all is said and done, whether you're in any type of relationship or not, you will always have yourself. And if you can't stand silence, loneliness, even serenity with yourself, then your number one priority should be self-reflection and improvement. If you're one of many who says to themselves, I didn't ask for this, regardless of how anybody feels from your past, present, or what's yet to be felt, you owe it to yourself to prove to yourself just how valuable you are. And whether you see it in yourself, I need you to know that at least someone out there sees your value and desperately wishes that you saw just how worthy you are. Thank you so much for lending an ear and listening to all the random thoughts that run through my mind. We've got an amazing opportunity here to see ourselves for who we are, find the value in what is, but improve upon what can be. We need to see a future we could create with our own hands and actually go out there and do it. As men, we need to make, not find, but create our place in society. Show the world what a real man is all about. What positivity can be brought through genuine masculinity, our true power. And to the women out there, embrace your femininity. Develop and nurture in you that creative force that Mother Nature exudes, breathing it into the very life that it sustains. Your true power. Embracing our strengths to eliminate self-doubt is one of our very first steps to self-improvement. I believe I can do it, and I think you can too. As always, keep your head up and walk tall.